Good morning. You're welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform, Facebook Live from 3 Team Pest Trade Academy. My name is Dele Ayimibo. We'll continue our conversation. From where we stopped yesterday, when we were discussing the what, the why, and the how to export to Nigeria or to import into Nigeria if you're an importer. The what, the why, and the how to export to Nigeria. The what, the why, and the how to export to Nigeria. And like I said, to import to Nigeria if you are in Nigeria and you want to go into importation. So for those that are outside is export, for those that are inside is import. But basically talking about how do we maximize Nigerian market. That's why we talk about AFCFTA. The what, the why, and how to maximize, take advantage of Nigerian market. This is one of the largest markets in Africa, and this market is the target of everybody. The target of everybody. So if foreigners are targeting our market, I think it's just wisdom for Nigerians to target Nigerian market. I think it's just wisdom for Nigerians to target Nigerian market if foreigners are targeting our market. And why is foreigners targeting our market? Of course they will target our market because here is where the numbers are. Out of the 350 million people in West Africa, Nigeria is over 200 million. So we are literally 60% in West Africa alone. And if Africa is having about 5 regions, West, East, North, South, and even Central, and only one region is having 350 million. And that 350 million, one country is having over 200 million. That's why you want to consider, because anybody coming to Africa actually want to look at West Africa first. Because the reason is because if you look at West Africa, and when you're looking at West Africa, the next thing you want to look at is Africa. Why? Because West Africa, it's like I'm going to target 350 million people in West Africa. But in all the other regions, none of the states or country is as much as. So that means I'm already targeting more than half of a region by coming to Nigeria alone. I'm just talking about Nigeria's attraction and when Nigeria should take advantage of Nigerian population. Because our population is an advantage in the world. Our population which is also the challenge of people that want Nigeria to divide. So people don't even understand. There are some countries that are very rich, but they are really not world power or superpower because they don't have population. If you look at some countries in Europe, like Norway, for example, or the Scandinavians, they have a very high standard of living. They have money, but they don't have population. So they can't be superpower with all their money. Germany can claim that because Germany have a reasonable population, close to 100. UK also because they are more than about 70 million. America, of course, more than 300 million people. America, of course, more than 300 million people. It's so unfortunate the way people behave. Sorry. I'm in traffic and people are just messing up, It's not for these people that are come to control this traffic. And people are just messing up and driving against one way. And even uniform. Sorry for the distraction. I'm just in traffic this morning. I'm still on the road to work. So we'll be discussing pre-import documentation this morning. Pre-import documentation. We're actually discussing documentation generally, but I'm looking at the pre-import documentation in Nigeria. So anybody thinking of bringing goods to Nigeria, you should understand the fact that there are pre-import documentation. Unfortunately, my plan this morning was to actually put this document as I'm talking, to upload them online and share them on the Facebook page so that anybody listening to this can see it. But unfortunately, I won't be able to do that because I'm right now in traffic and I have to do this while in traffic. So you pardon me. I'm hoping that we'll be able to correct that some other time. So we have pre-import documentation. What are the pre-import documents in Nigeria? What are the pre-import documents in Nigeria? Number 1, Form M. Form M. Form M. Form M is the application form for import into Nigeria. Form M is the application form for import into Nigeria. I wish I could show you how that looks like. Now, Form M in Nigeria, can be obtained online. It's electronically done. It can be obtained online. In obtaining it online, you are having a situation where you go to trade.gov.ng and fill in the details. You go to trade.gov.ng and fill in the detail. By filling in the detail online, you are able to also attach the relevant document. So Form M does not go alone. Form M goes with Forma Invoice. It's called Forma Invoice. That Forma Invoice is the invoice issue ahead of shipment. Invoice issue ahead of shipment. Forma Invoice. We have other type of invoice. We have a commercial invoice or final invoice. We have provisional invoice. We have different kind of invoices. But the one you are attaching at this point is Forma. Forma Invoice is issued by the buyer. Sorry, by the seller rather. Forma Invoice is issued by the seller and sent typically via email to the buyer. And sent typically via email to the buyer. And sent typically via email to the buyer. A Forma Invoice to be used in processing Form M must not be more than 90 days old. Must not be more than 90 days old as of the time you are processing that Form M. Must not be more than 90 days old as of the time you are processing that Form M. If it's more than 90 days old, it's said to be stale. It becomes a stale document. If it's more than 90 days old, it's called to be a stale invoice. And the reason is very obvious. I mean, if you have an invoice from a buyer and 3 months you are not able to ship, it's possible that prices will have changed. It's possible that, and if the prices have changed, if the prices have changed more than 10%, you have to open another Form M. By the way, when you open Form M in Nigeria, it's also important to note that you can effect shipment up to 110% of the value. So if I open Form M for $100,000, I can ship goods up to $110,000. This is why the next document I'm talking about is called the insurance. The next document I'm talking about is the insurance. So, you know, you see all sorts of things in Lagos. Can you imagine someone coming out of the car in traffic to go and find someone? You know, you see also. Oh my God, you see all sorts of things in Lagos, man. Wow. Wow. This is interesting. Sorry for the break in transmission. I'm on the road, like I said. I'm in traffic and I'm watching a lot of drama this morning. All right, so discussing the pre-import documentation. I talked about Form M. I'm talking about Forma Invoice, and I was talking about the fact that when you open Form M for a particular amount in Nigeria, you are allowed to ship more than up to 110% of that amount. And I was explaining the reason why. You know, so many things could have changed. So many things could have changed in the course of your transaction. So many things could have changed. And one of the things that could have changed in the course of your transaction is price. So you are allowed to be able to ship up to 110%. That's why the next document I'll be talking about is insurance. You are expected to insure a minimum of 110%. Anytime you are insuring for import into Nigeria or for export to Nigeria, you cannot insure the exact figure. You have to insure 110% of the figure you are shipping. So if I'm shipping goods of $10,000 to Nigeria, insurance to be done, and this insurance has to be done locally. You know, if you are shipping to Nigeria, anyway, when I get to export market entry strategy into Nigeria, I'll be talking about some of the options that are available to you and the structure you can put in place to be able to do this import. Because one of the things you want to do is also to have a presence in Nigeria if you are trying to enter Nigerian market. To have a presence in Nigeria if you are trying to enter Nigerian market. But in this case now, you have your insurance. This insurance that you are doing is 110%. And like I said, it must be done locally. You can't do insurance abroad. So that means if you are shipping to Nigeria as an exporter, your Incoterm must be CFR. Your Incoterm must be CFR. You cannot do CIF. Wow. Your Incoterm must be CFR. You cannot do CIF. You cannot do CIF because of the fact that insurance is to be done locally. You know, if you are doing CIF, if you are very much familiar with Incoterm and you're listening to me, if you are doing CIF require that insurance be done by the exporter in the exporter's country. But that's not the case in Nigeria. That's not the case in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the insurance must be done by importer in the importer's country. That's one of the ways Nigerian government is encouraging Nigeria to patronize local insurance, and of course to grow the local insurance company in Nigeria. That's one of the things government is doing. So if you are importing into Nigeria, to patronize. If you are importing into Nigeria and you are doing insurance from abroad, that's okay. You can do your insurance from abroad. Just be rest assured that that insurance cannot be used to process your pre-import documentation. That insurance will be good for you to claim if there are issues with the goods eventually in transit. But for you to process your pre-import documentation, you need a local marine insurance. And I must say something at this point. When government says you should do insurance, it's for your own good. Because some people are coming into import business for the first time, or they are new and they are feeling that, look, this is an extra cost I'm incurring. And I'm saying, just the way some Nigerians are mandated to do car insurance when they buy a car, and they will go and do what is called third-party insurance. Some will even use fake insurance. Nowadays, you can't do that again because there's a central base for all insurance documents in Nigeria, such that you can easily go ahead and verify those insurance. In fact, police can verify that on the road using your phone to verify. All they need is the insurance number, and they will search, or use your vehicle number to search, and they will know if the insurance is fake. But I'm basically saying that why will someone be doing fake insurance for an item being imported? You know, last year, goods being shipped into Nigeria on a vessel, I think from Europe, capsided. I think it was from France. Capsided. The vessel went up in flames and capsided. It has over 300 cars and thousands of containers. And the vessel capsided. And I'm saying, that is just a sign to show that, look, it will be very foolish and very unwise for anyone who is expected to do insurance not to do the right insurance. Some people go to, there's a place in Apapa called Nnewi Building. You know, in Apapa, in Apapa in Nigeria, and somewhere in Oluwole on the Lagos Island, people do a lot of fake documents. Fake documents. And they use this fake document because, you know, international trade is a business of documentation. They use this fake document for their documentation. For me, it is most unfortunate that someone is importing into Nigeria. You know, it is most unthinkable, but you know, as unthinkable as it may look or seem, the fact is that it's happening. The fact is that it's happening. The fact is that it's happening. Grace, let me take that number. The fact is that it's happening, and people are finding themselves in this situation in Nigeria, in which case an individual will think he's saving money by not doing insurance. An individual will think he's saving money by not doing insurance. Don't let me waste time on insurance. I just thought I need to talk about that in more in detail, because for me, like I said, it's just unthinkable for you to be importing goods of 50 million naira and you're finding it difficult to do insurance of some few hundreds of thousands of naira just to safeguard your good in case the good have problem on the way. But you know, like I said, that is the situation you find yourself in Nigeria. All right. So let me go over it again. Pre-import documentation number 1, Form M. Number 2, Forma Invoice. Number 3, local marine insurance. Number 4, regulatory permit. Regulatory permit. Depending on the nature of your transaction, you might require, depending on the item being shipped rather, you might require to do some, require some regulatory permit in Nigeria. You might require some regulatory permit in Nigeria. You might require some regulatory permit in Nigeria. This regulatory permit in Nigeria are issued either by NAFDAC, if you are doing food and drug. NAFDAC is Nigeria Agency, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, or issued by SON, otherwise called SONCAP, Standard Organization of Nigeria Conformity Assessment Program. Either of those documents, you might need to bring get them in Nigeria to be able to do your importation. Now, these documents are required to be attached. Remember, you are going to be processing for them online at trade.gov.ng, and it's required to be attached. So when I fill in that form online, I will attach this relevant document before submitting it, and I will have chosen a bank, because every trade transaction in Nigeria must be routed through a bank. Either the bank is funding you or not. Either the bank is funding you or not, you are expected to route every trade transaction through a bank. On the import side, you use a form M obtained online and route it through a bank. On the export side, you use NXP obtained from a bank and routed through a bank. That way, CBN is able to monitor the utilization and generation of foreign exchange in Nigeria, and then of course it makes it easier to generate data and statistics of the item being imported or exported out of Nigeria. Now, these documents are supposed to be presented online and approved by the Nigerian Customs Service before you can do importation into Nigeria. These documents are supposed to be uploaded online after you have filled the form, upload them online and submit them. Okay. And submit them. Having submitted them, it becomes easier for you to be able to obtain the approval. Please note, in Nigeria today, if these documents are not processed and you import any item into Nigeria, or if these documents have not been approved and you import an item into Nigeria, what you have imported is going to be deemed illegal. What you have imported is going to be deemed illegal. What you have imported is going to be deemed illegal. So don't import item into Nigeria without. Don't import item into Nigeria without approval of Form M and registration of that Form M on custom website. Without approval of Form M and registration of the Form M on custom website. That is so crucial. That is so important. If you do that, you have flouted or violated the law or regulation guiding import into Nigeria, and you are bound to suffer some consequences. For example, that good, you might not be able to clear it. You might not be able to clear that good. That means you will have used your money to do importation, but government will go and auction the goods. Obviously, you don't want to find yourself in that kind of situation. Now, let me say something also about that Form M. No, about the, not Form M, Forma Invoice. I said something about the Forma Invoice before, that it has to be 90 days, it has to be less than 90 days old. It has to be less than 90 days old, number one. Number two, that document called Forma Invoice must also have the total of the goods being CFR, but broken down into freight and FOB. You know, if you know Incoterm very well, FCFR is equal to FOB plus freight. CFR is equal to FOB plus freight. If you are shipping by road, by rail, by air, you have to use CPT, which should be FCA plus freight. CPT is equal to FCA plus freight. FOB is equal to CFR is equal to FOB plus freight. In both cases, you are having, if you are shipping by air, the Incoterm will be CPT, and inside the Forma Invoice, we must see the total CPT figure, and we should also see it broken down into freight and FCA. If you are shipping by sea, the Incoterm will be CFR, so we must see the CFR figure, and it must also be broken down into FOB and freight. Now, these are very crucial and important information. You know what happened in Nigeria? When people submit their Form M for approval, more often than not, you have it being rejected. More often than not, you have it being rejected. You know, sometimes people reject Form M. Sometimes it's the bank that will reject the Form M. Sometimes it's the bank. Why is the bank rejecting the Form M? The bank is rejecting the Form M because the Form M have what is called discrepancies. These discrepancies are basically an inconsistency between the regulation and the presented document, or inconsistency between the document presented and other documents. So inconsistency between document and document, or inconsistency between document presented and the regulation that already guiding the importation of item into Nigeria. And what's painful about this is that this caused a lot of delay. It caused a lot of delay. It delays the shipment of the goods just because the client or the exporter does not understand exactly what it is. And that's why, you know, I'm spending a lot of time discussing this now, because AFCFTA is taking off in about, is it 10 months now? We have 3 more months this year, October, November, December, plus 7, 10 months. In 10 months, AFCFTA will be taking off. Now, when AFCFTA takes off, a lot of people will be shipping into Nigeria, and they will be building new alliances in Nigeria, new relationships in Nigeria, probably dealing with people in Nigeria who also are new in import. And you might be having unnecessary delay in your transaction as a result of all these I'm talking about. you might be having unnecessary delays in your trade transaction because of all this I'm talking about. So this video will be online, available both on YouTube and Facebook, so that by the time this takes off and Nigerians want to be importing from other African countries, or other African countries want to be exporting to Nigeria, you can have yourself, you can be able to find yourself doing a very smooth transaction, smooth sailing of your transaction into Nigeria as a result of the knowledge you have acquired based on this video. In the evening, I'll be moving to the post. What I've discussed this morning is the pre-import documentation. Pre-import documentation. In the evening, I'll be talking about the post-import documentation. In the evening, I'll be talking about the post-import documentation. Post-import documentation. And that is divided into the exchange control document and, of course, shipping document. Thank you very much for listening again this morning. My name is Mendele Ayimiba, and this import-export platform, Facebook Live from 3D Import Academy. Kindly remember to share this video with your friends and relatives and colleagues and partners, and as many people as possible who will be interested in doing business in Nigeria, who will be interested in doing any form or kind or type of shipment to Nigeria. I'm very, very sure that this video will be of interest to them. This video will be of benefit to them. This video will help them to be able to really find it easy to access the Nigerian market. You know, as brilliant the idea of coming to Nigeria is, it has challenges of documentation. But what we are doing through this import-export platform is to make import into Nigeria a lot easier for anyone and everyone that is looking to get access into the Nigerian market. I believe the video has been of value to you. Remember to share it. Thank you very much and have a great day at work. Bye for now.